The knock at the door. It was a quiet night on the edge of the human colony. The wind outside was strong, blowing dust across the dry ground. Inside a small shelter, a man named Mark sat alone. He was an engineer working with machines all day. His home was small but warm, filled with tools, wires, and a glowing monitor screen. Mark liked silence. After the war between humans and aliens, he had moved far away from the cities. Out here, no one bothered him. No voices, no questions, just work and peace. He took a sip of warm tea and leaned back in his chair. Suddenly, he heard it. Knock! Knock! Mark froze. He looked at the door. Nobody knocks out here. No one comes this far. He stood up slowly and walked to the door. His fingers hovered over the security panel. His heart was beating fast. "Who's there?" he called out. There was no answer, only the sound of wind. He pressed a button to turn on the small outside camera. The screen blinked, then showed a figure standing in the dark. A woman, but not human. She had pale skin like silver moonlight. Her large eyes were glowing faintly. Her long arms held something close to her chest. A child wrapped in dark cloth. Mark stared at the screen. He knew her kind. She was from a race called the Vayari, one of the alien species from the other side of the war. The same war that had taken so many lives, including his brothers. Another knock, this time softer. He hesitated, then slowly opened the door just a little. The cold air rushed in. The woman looked up at him. Her voice was weak but clear. "Please, I need help." Mark said nothing. He looked at the child in her arms. The baby was not moving. His tiny face looked gray, almost lifeless. The alien woman stepped forward. Her hands were shaking. "I can't feed my child," she said. "My milk has dried up. Human, please." Mark opened the door wider, still unsure. "Why are you here?" he asked. "Your kind doesn't come to human lands." She looked down, eyes full of shame. "I had nowhere else to go," she whispered. Mark looked around. The night was dark. There could be others watching. He stepped aside. "Come in," he said. The woman entered, holding the child tightly. Mark shut the door and locked it. Inside, the lights were soft and yellow. The woman looked around slowly, as if she had never seen human things before. She sat on a small bench and unwrapped the baby's face. The baby looked strange, not fully alien. The skin was pale but not like hers. Its ears were rounded, like a human's. His hair was soft and black. Mark frowned. "Is it sick?" he asked. The woman nodded. "He hasn't eaten in days. I tried everything. Nothing works. Only mother's milk. But mine is gone." Her voice broke as she said it. "He will die." Mark stared at her. Something didn't feel right. He walked over to a drawer and took out a small medical scanner. He held it near the baby's chest. A soft beep, then data appeared on the screen. He read the results. Heart rate low, temperature falling, malnourished. But then, something else. He blinked. DNA match detected. 30% human. Mark stepped back in shock. "This child is part human?" The woman said nothing. Her eyes were full of tears. Mark looked at the child again. The baby let out a weak cough. For a second, its skin flickered, like a soft blue light passed under it. He had never seen anything like this. He looked at the woman. "Who's the father?" he asked. She looked away. "He was human," she said finally. "He is gone now." Mark's mind raced. A Vayari mother, a half-human baby, a war still fresh in people's memory. If anyone found out about this, there would be trouble. He looked at the baby again. So small, so quiet, and dying. Mark took a deep breath. "I don't know what I can do," he said. "I'm not a doctor." The woman nodded slowly. "But you are kind," she said. "That's more than anyone else has been." The baby let out a soft cry. Mark's heart tightened. He didn't ask for this. He didn't want trouble. But he couldn't let the child die. He sat down and turned on his computer. "Let's find something," he said. "There must be a way." Outside, the wind blew harder. But inside, A human and an alien sat together, bound by something stronger than fear. A child's life, and a secret that could change everything. The baby was crying now. Not loud, just a soft, broken sound. Like a bird that had forgotten how to sing. Mark stood near the old heater, watching steam rise from the small pot of water he had warmed. He handed a wet cloth to the alien woman. She took it with both hands, as if it was something sacred. She placed the warm cloth on the baby's chest and whispered words in a strange language. Words that sounded like wind and water. Her eyes stayed on the child, never blinking. Mark had never seen anything like it. She wasn't just a mother. She was a guardian, holding back death with her bare hands. He finally spoke. "What's your name?" She looked at him. Her voice was soft, careful. "They called me Sorry. But I lost that name when I lost my home." Mark didn't understand. "You mean you were exiled?" She nodded. "Yes, when they found out about him." Mark sat down across from her. The child's father. Sari's face changed. Her eyes filled with light and memory. "He was human. A soldier. One of yours." Mark raised an eyebrow. "From the war." She nodded. Milky Way flashback begins. She spoke slowly, her voice like the fading light of a star. "It was during the last winter of the war. He found me hiding in a ruined village. I was injured. He did not shoot. He gave me water." Mark listened, silent. He stayed. Every night he came back. He told me stories. About Earth. About oceans. He laughed like no one I had ever known. Her lips trembled. He said my eyes looked like the night sky. I did not understand him. But I believed him. He left one morning and never returned. They told me he died in a bombing. I had already begun to carry his child. She held the baby tighter. My people called me a traitor, a widow to a ghost. They told me to leave and never come back. Mark's hands were tight around his cup. He didn't realize it had gone cold. "So you came here?" he asked. She nodded. "I walked for days, hid from soldiers, from scanners. I came here because this place was marked as low human activity. I thought maybe, just maybe, someone would listen." Mark stared at the baby. His breathing was slow but steady. "Why didn't you ask for help sooner?" Her answer was quick. "Because humans hate us, and my people hate humans. This child is hated by both." Mark looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't just running from hunger. She was running from the world itself. Suddenly, a sharp beep came from the scanner. Mark turned to look. Blood pressure low. Oxygen levels falling. Time is running out. He stood up fast. "He needs real help. I don't have what he needs here." Sari shook her head. "No hospitals. They will take him away. They will study him. He is rare. Too rare." She was right. A half-human, half-Fairy baby? The labs would lock him up for tests. Mark paced the room. He was just a mechanic. He fixed pipes and power lines. He didn't save lives. But now he had to. "What do you need?" he asked. Sari hesitated, then said something that made him freeze. "Human mother's milk." Mark blinked. "What?" She explained. "My milk worked at first, but then it stopped. His body, it changes. It needs human nutrients now. I tried food, powder, water. Nothing helps." Mark shook his head. "There are no women out here. No mothers. No milk." She didn't cry. Her face was stone. "Then he will die tonight." Silence. Just the wind outside. And the quiet, slow breathing of a baby caught between two worlds. Mark looked at his console. He remembered something, an old biotech lab 2 hills over. It had organic printers. Machines used to create food and medicine from DNA samples. Shut down after the war. Forgotten. Maybe, just maybe, he turned to her. "There's a lab. I might be able to make something. Not real milk, but close." Her eyes lit up. "You would do that?" Mark didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed his coat and tools. As he opened the door, cold air rushed in. Sari called out, "Why are you helping us?" Mark paused, then looked back. Because someone helped my brother once and saved him. Maybe this is me returning the favor. And with that, he walked into the night. The machine didn't lie. Mark stared at the screen. The lab was dark, cold, and filled with old blinking lights. Dust floated in the air like ghostly snow. The organic printer hummed softly beside him, waiting for input. But all Mark could look at was the DNA result. Subject: infant, 68% Vari/30%, human/2% unknown. Alert: unauthorized genetic hybrid. Classification: forbidden. A red line flashed across the screen. Status: illegal life form. Mark leaned back, heart pounding. "What are you?" he whispered, staring at the baby's DNA chart. He already knew the child was mixed. But this wasn't just a rare child. This was something that shouldn't exist. And now the system knew. He looked at the printer. It had already created a sample, a small sealed container of milk substitute, custom-built for the child's strange biology. Mark picked it up carefully, placed it in his coat. Behind him, the computer screen changed. Alert sent. Human colony command, code red. Mark's eyes widened. "No," he breathed. He slammed the power switch, killing the machine. Too late. The colony knew now. Red triangle pointed down hours earlier. Back at the shelter, Sari rocked the baby in her arms, humming quietly. Her voice was broken, dry from exhaustion. But still, the melody was beautiful. A song from her lost home. The baby's skin flickered again, pulsing between silver and soft pink. Not sick, just unstable. As if it couldn't decide which world it belonged to. The door opened suddenly. Sari stood up fast, holding the baby tight. Mark stepped inside, covered in dust, breathing hard. His eyes were sharp. Something had changed in him. She asked quickly, "Did you find it?" He nodded and handed her the container. "It's not real milk, but it should work." Sari opened it. The smell was soft and warm, strangely sweet. She gave a few drops to the baby. The child drank. Then more. Then his eyes opened wide, glowing softly. He let out a tiny cry. Alive. Breathing better. Color returning. Sari's eyes filled with tears. "You saved him." Mark didn't answer. He walked over to the scanner, plugged in his data chip, and waited. DNA: the truth unfolds. Mark had copied the lab data before shutting it down. Now he ran it again inside his private system. Sari stood behind him. They both watched the results. DNA shows advanced blending, not natural mutation. This was engineered. Mark turned slowly. This child wasn't just born. He was made. Sari shook her head. "No, he was born from me. I carried him for 9 moons. Mark stared at her. "Then how do you explain the 2% unknown DNA? Something in him isn't human or Vari." Silence. Sari looked down, then spoke. "The man who loved me, the human, he said he wasn't like others." "What do you mean?" Mark asked. "He said he was part of something secret. He called it Project HART. Mark froze. He knew that name. A secret military program years ago, said to mix alien DNA with human soldiers. Most files were deleted after the war. No survivors. No proof. Until now. This child wasn't just a hybrid. He was the descendant of a weapon. Outside, in the dark hills, a drone passed overhead. Its red eye blinked once, then flew toward the main colony, tracking heat, tracking unauthorized life. Inside the shelter, Mark stood up fast. "We have to leave. Now." Sari looked up. "What is it?" The lab sent an alert. "Someone's coming. Maybe soldiers. Maybe worse." She held the baby tighter. "We can hide in the caves." Mark grabbed a bag, filled it with tools and supplies. "No, that's not far enough. If they find him, they'll take him, study him, or worse." He paused. "I don't think they want to study him. I think they want to erase him." The baby made a sound. Not a cry this time, but something strange. A soft humming tone. The lights in the shelter flickered. Mark looked at Sari. She was staring at the baby in shock. He's changing again. The baby's skin shimmered with colors Mark couldn't name. The humming grew louder, then faded. Mark whispered, "He's not just surviving, he's evolving." And somewhere far away, in a dark command room deep inside the human colony, a red alert flashed. Unauthorized hybrid detected. Terminate on sight. The stars were falling. That's what it looked like at first. Sari stood on the ridge behind Mark's shelter, baby in her arms, staring at the sky. One by one, tiny lights fell across the blackness, glowing dots with long silver tails. Mark stepped beside her. "Those aren't stars," he said softly. "They're drones." She didn't blink. "How many?" Mark checked his wrist scanner. The screen was already glitching. "Too many. They left before sunrise." Mark had packed what little food and tech he had. Sari carried the child close, wrapped in dark cloth soaked in the lab-grown milk. The baby no longer cried, but his body was warm now, his breathing steady. But sometimes, when the wind grew quiet, he hummed. A low, strange sound like a signal or a memory. As they crossed the rocky hills, Mark kept checking the sky. 3 drones flew past them before noon. They didn't stop, didn't look, but they were scanning, searching. Mark led Sari down into a canyon, a place he had once sworn never to return to. The canyon was cold, sharp, dead. Old machines lay broken in the sand. Rusted arms of war, burned vehicles, shattered helmets. The bones of a battlefield. Sari whispered, "What is this place?" "This is where my brother died," Mark said, "and where your child's father might have lived." She looked around. Silence hung in the air like dust. They found shelter inside a broken armored vehicle. Inside it smelled like oil and old blood, but it was safe, hidden. Mark powered up a small device, a comm scrambler, to keep them off radar for a few hours. Sari fed the baby again. The milk worked, but it was running low, too low. Mark sat down beside her. "I have a plan," he said. "There's an old research outpost 2 days from here. If we can reach it, maybe we can print more milk there. Maybe find old records. Something about this Project Heart." Sari looked tired. "I don't know how far we can go. My body is weak. The milk isn't enough." She looked down at the baby. "And he is becoming something else." That night, as Mark slept, Sari watched her child. His skin flickered softly, but his eyes, now open, stared at the roof of the broken ship. He reached up once, and the metal above his hand bent slightly, like something unseen had pushed it. Sari gasped. "My child," she whispered. "What are you becoming?" Morning. They walked again, over broken glass fields through wind that tasted like ash. The child didn't cry. Sometimes he pointed at the sky, before Mark even saw the drone shadows above. It was as if the baby knew. Sari was growing weaker, her steps slower. Mark tried to carry them both, but the canyon path was steep. Finally, they stopped in a dry riverbed. Mark knelt. "Rest. I'll go ahead. I'll come back with supplies." But Sari grabbed his arm. Her eyes were glassy. "I can't go further, Mark." He turned sharply. "Don't say that. You have to take him," she whispered. Mark shook his head. "No. He needs you. He knows your voice, your touch." But she was already sliding down the wall, holding the baby close. "This child was not meant to live, but he is, because of you." Her voice was faint now. "He carries something more than blood." Mark clenched his jaw. "I'm not leaving you behind." Then, the baby made that sound again. The hum. But this time it grew louder. The rocks shook. The sand lifted slightly around them. Mark's scanner beeped. Not a threat alert, but an energy spike. The baby looked up at him, eyes glowing faint gold. Mark whispered, "What are you doing?" The baby reached one tiny hand forward, toward the scrambler device on Mark's belt. It fused with it, the metal reshaping itself, becoming a new object. A small, smooth disc. Mark picked it up. Words appeared on the disc's surface. Biosignal cloak activated. Tracking blocked. Mark stared. The baby had created it. Sari gasped in awe, tears on her cheeks. He's protecting us. Mark nodded, stunned. He's more than either of us thought. From a distant ridge, a drone paused. Its red light blinked, then turned off. No life detected. No signal found. It flew away. Back in the canyon, Mark held the disc tightly. Sari slept, her breathing weak. The baby curled in her arms, peaceful again. Mark stared into the dry wind and whispered, "You're not just milk-fed. You're mercy-born." Mark stole the uniform from a dead man. It still smelled like blood and smoke. The ID badge read, Lieutenant B. Holloway, Sector 12, Bioclearance Level 3. Mark didn't know who Holloway was. He didn't ask. He just needed the door to open. 3 hours earlier. The sun had barely risen when Mark left the canyon alone. Sari was too weak to walk. The child was quiet, too quiet, curled against her chest. His color was fading again. The milk had run out. Mark had promised to return. "You have 12 hours, Sari said softly. "After that, don't come back. Just run. Let him live." Mark had nodded. But he knew he wasn't coming back empty-handed. Not this time. He moved like a shadow across the broken plains. The old research base was still standing, a black tooth in the desert, half covered in sand, forgotten after the war. Most thought it was shut down. But Mark knew better. He had once worked here before the military took control, before they turned science into weapons. Now he stood at the gate, wearing the stolen uniform, Holloway's badge in his hand. The scanner blinked. Beep. Access granted. Mark entered. Inside, the halls were cold and silent. Metal walls, yellow lights, no faces, but cameras watched. He walked fast like he belonged here. Floor B2, organic lab. He knew where to go. But as he reached the lower corridor, a voice spoke behind him. Lieutenant Holloway. Mark turned slowly. A woman in black armor stood there. Her face was sharp, her eyes colder than the walls. "Why are you here alone?" Mark smiled slightly. "Urgent sample delivery. High-priority genetic case." "I wasn't given details." The woman stepped forward. "Where is your escort?" Mark's hand hovered near the stun stick on his belt. "Transfer got delayed. You know how messy command's orders are these days." The woman stared at him, then nodded. "Hurry up. You're not supposed to be here past lockdown." She turned and walked away. Mark didn't breathe until she was gone. He reached the organic printer room. The lab was still intact. Clean, cold, empty. The same model of machine as the one from the old lab. But faster, smarter, more dangerous. Mark pulled out the baby's blood sample, saved in a small vial on a necklace Sari had given him. He slid it into the scanner. The screen blinked. Unauthorized hybrid detected. Override required. He used Holloway's code. It worked. Just barely. The machine began to hum. Then the lights turned red. A soft voice echoed in the room. "System breach detected. DNA classified. Project HRT level access only. Security lockdown initiated." Mark cursed under his breath. Too late to stop now. He opened the panel and rerouted the system's power manually, burning his fingers on the wires. The printer shuddered. A clear bag filled with golden nutrient milk began to form. The baby's only chance. Footsteps outside. Fast. Heavy. They knew. Mark grabbed the milk pouch and ran. Alarms blared. Subject must be recovered alive. Intruder. Kill on sight. Mark didn't care. He sprinted down the halls, heart pounding. Bullets sparked against the metal walls. He dove behind a crate, pulled out a tiny pulse grenade from his stolen belt. Click. Throw. Boom. The hallway shook. Smoke everywhere. He ran through it, coughing, vision blurry. Outside, in the sun, he stripped off the uniform and threw the ID badge into the sand. The base shrank behind him. He ran into the canyon again, the milk tight in his hands. Every second mattered now. Back at the shelter, Sari didn't speak as he returned. Her eyes were closed. The baby lay still against her. Mark knelt, opening the pouch, pressing drops of warm milk to the baby's lips. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a breath, a slow, shaking inhale. The baby opened his eyes. Alive. Sari smiled weakly. You made it. Mark nodded, sitting beside her. But they're coming. She didn't seem afraid. She looked at the child. Then he must go. You must take him. Mark shook his head. We're not running anymore. The baby reached for Mark's hand. His tiny fingers touched Mark's skin, and for a moment Mark saw everything. Flashes, cities burning, ships rising, a child, older, standing in light and shadow, not just a survivor, a leader, a key, something humanity and the Vayari had never seen before. Mark pulled back, breath shaking. Sari whispered, tears in her eyes. Now you understand why they're afraid of him. Above the canyon, 2 black ships appeared, engines silent, guns ready. Mark stood up, holding the child close. Then let them come. He watched them from above. Through the scope of his plasma rifle, the bounty hunter could see the man, the alien woman, and the child huddled in the rocks below. They looked tired, hungry, desperate. But it was the child that made his hands shake. The baby glowed softly, not like a machine, not like a threat, but like something sacred, like a secret too old for the world. He lowered the rifle. Target confirmed, said the voice in his earpiece. You are cleared for elimination. He didn't answer. Instead, he whispered to himself. I've seen those eyes before. Waxing crescent moon 12 hours earlier, Sari's camp. Mark kept the fire low, hiding the smoke under a blanket of dry moss. The baby had finally fallen asleep. But Mark couldn't. Not anymore. He watched the stars. Too many moved too fast. Not natural. Ships, drones, searchlights above the clouds. We should leave, he said. Sari shook her head. He's too weak to travel again. And I can feel my body slowing down. Mark looked at her, concern heavy in his eyes. No, we'll find help. A rebel camp. A hidden ship. Something. Sari smiled, but her lips were pale. Mark, you already did more than anyone else ever would. You gave him mercy, and now they're coming to punish you for it. Mark stood, angry. Then let them come. New moon now, the hunter descends. The bounty hunter moved silently through the rocks. His suit made no sound, even over broken stone. He was tall, armored, but something in his movement felt careful. Not like a killer, like a man carrying questions. He had read the file. Target, unauthorized hybrid. Secondary target. Human traitor, ex-engineer. Objective, erase. No remains. No witnesses. But when he saw the baby's face, something pulled at his mind. A memory. A scar. A woman's voice. He crept closer. He could see them now. The baby stirred in Sari's arms. Suddenly, the baby looked straight at him. The hunter froze. That gaze, it was like being scanned from the inside out. Not afraid, not confused, just aware. Mark turned. He knew the sound of danger, even when it tried to be quiet. He grabbed the pulse rifle, stepped between the hunter and Sari. One more step and I shoot. The hunter didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he pulled off his helmet. Mark froze. Under the mask was a face not fully human, not fully alien. The same silver tone to the skin. The same eyes as the baby. Sari gasped. You! The hunter nodded. I am what he will become. A first-generation hybrid. One of the first from Project HART. Mark lowered the gun slightly, still unsure. Why are you here? To kill him? The hunter looked down. That was the order. And now, silence. The hunter stepped closer. When I was born, they raised me in a lab. No mother, no sky, just lights and questions. He looked at Sari. But he has you. He has love. The baby reached a hand toward him. And the hunter, without armor, dropped to one knee. Let the baby touch his face. A single tear ran down his cheek. This is what I never had. Suddenly, the ground shook. From the skies, a dark ship descended. Sleek, silent, government class. They had been tracked. The hunter stood fast, turned to Mark. You must run. Now. Mark hesitated. What about you? The hunter smiled, a sad smile. I was made for war. Let me give him peace. As Mark lifted Sari and the child, running through the canyon shadows, the hunter walked into the clearing. Gun ready, eyes hard. Above, the black ship opened its ramp. A voice called out, Hunter, stand down. Target is gone. Where is the child? He raised his weapon. Gone. With mercy. And he opened fire. Explosions behind them lit the sky. Mark didn't look back. The child hummed again. A new sound this time. A sound like rain after fire. Sari whispered. He remembers. He knows who saved him. They disappeared into the canyon. Behind them, a war begun by fear was broken by mercy. They say he was born of silence and hunted before his first breath. The voice came from the shadows of a fire-lit cave. Children sat in a circle, wide-eyed, listening. The storyteller was tall, wrapped in worn robes, face hidden behind a metal mask polished by time. They say his mother was a ghost and his father a machine. The flames cracked. A younger child raised their hand. Is that real? Did the boy really stop the war? The figure was quiet for a moment, then leaned forward. Would you like to hear how it ends? Milky Way 12 years earlier. The desert wind was softer now. The war was long over. The child, no longer a baby, stood on the edge of a blue valley. Lush plants swayed in the wind. Tall silver trees lined the cliffs. Mark stood behind him, older, tired, still kind. His clothes were patched. His rifle, unused in years, hung across his back like a memory. Sari had died quietly 3 winters earlier, peacefully holding the child's hand. He had buried her under the 3-star tree, where the moonlight always touched the ground first. You feel it again? Mark asked. The child nodded. He was 10 now. His eyes held galaxies. Something's coming. Ships. 4 of them. They're afraid. Mark didn't ask how he knew. He simply said, then we'll be ready. But the ships didn't come to destroy. They came to negotiate. Because the child, the one they had hunted, had become something more. A symbol. Ringed planet now. Present-day campfire. The storyteller took off the mask. His face was familiar, part human, part alien. Skin the color of stars. Eyes warm, like a memory. It was him, the child. Grown now. A man. He looked at the children. The humans feared what I was. The Veari hated what I wasn't. But I never belonged to one world. I belonged to both. He placed a glowing stone in the center of the circle. This was the core of the drone that hunted my mother. It broke trying to understand me. The children leaned in. But I didn't destroy it, he said. I reprogrammed it. Now it protects others like me. One child, quiet and small, spoke softly. Is it true your heart is part machine? He smiled gently. All hearts are machines, if they forget how to love. Far away, on a new moon settled by humans and Veari alike, his story was told in every school. He had become more than legend. He had become a bridge, a living answer to war. That night, he walked alone to the top of the ridge, where the stars were brightest. He took a piece of cloth from his coat, worn, dark, soft. It was what Sari had used to carry him. He held it to his chest. You were right, he whispered. They tried to erase me, but they couldn't. A soft hum echoed from his fingertips. It was not power. It was peace. And down in the valley, children who never knew war slept safely under one sky. From love came a child. From that child came a question. And from that question came a world where mercy was stronger than fear. He was not human, not alien. He was proof that both could become more. He was a child of 2 worlds.